A lot of times, like, some dude to help with his cat, like, being all up on his computer and everything while he worked from home, like, a few years ago, that he, and probably now too, he got, like, this really cheap, or maybe like a cardboard keyboard just to, like, set next to his own, so the cat would, jump around, like, on the other keyboard and act like she was, like, playing along. I don't know. It seemed really cute. Maybe we should do this for her, because she is trying to attack my hand right now.
Here, bite my hand. But she's very much like, she's like a koala sometimes on my arm. Just like, she's like it's like a baby when they're teething.
Yeah.
I guess that's literally the equivalent, though, too, because she's only 4.5 months old. I made a TikTok today.
You made a TikTok
trying to be relevant. Well, somebody I don't know commented, "This is some quality content."
Okay, that's good.
So, love that. My sister said it was on her For You page. 27 likes, so, you know, but 134 views.
Huh, yeah, I that definitely, like, it's unsurprising that, like, that app has evolved in the way that it has.
It's certainly the new Vine.
Because, let's remember, like, its origins. Like, it was a pretty much an app that people, like, sang, like, duets together on.
Yeah,
like,
kinda.
Wasn't that sort of what it was about? Or was it, like, fused with another thing that did that? I don't remember.
It was more like lip syncing, lip dubbing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's so weird, because
people definitely lip sync and lip dub, but it's become more creative than it was in the beginning, where there's just more of a comedy to it, and it's becoming more of like a fusion of that in Vine. I don't know, I hate to admit that I kind of like it, but I've found content that is certainly right for me, and
I don't feel like it's hard to. I feel like, because I feel like there's so much of it, like, there is such a variety,
Right, and with everyone being in quarantine, like, it's a good place to see, you know, drag queens do stuff, your favorite comedians do stuff, what people do, DIYs, fashion. It's just like, you know, being able to connect with the outside world again in a way.
I feel like people kind of use it nowadays very similar to how people really saw Animal Crossing right whenever things got started, I feel. This, like, very, like, gamified way of being able to, like, interact with people in a very interesting and very expressive manner that, like, we really lacked in this day and age because of the fact that people can't really be around each other very much. Like, there's nowhere to go, no people to see.
Yeah, I'm finally setting up a tour of my Animal Crossing island, so I'm trying to get back into that. I've cleaned up some things and really filled things out. I've noticed, like, some people have, you know, it's faded out a little bit, for sure.
I bet you there will be a resurgence around I believe the first of the month. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, I should say. So, like I was telling you before the show, my sister had informed me that she started listening, which I actually didn't expect, but I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad we're getting some more listeners, and especially, like, I'm glad for her to, like, get involved on that too. But she actually had something to inform me that I needed to address from the last episode, just to, like, get facts completely straight, because, I mean, you know, it's her birthday. Happy birthday, sis. I should probably say I found out, which I didn't know this, but apparently only the first of my dad's detailed knives were made of whalebone. It was just the one, but his other ones were other stuff. I mean, I feel like the point still stands, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess to comment on my talking of Mr. Byers in the West Memphis 3 murder case, I did eventually finish the third of the 3 Paradise Lost documentaries. And Mr. Byers in the third documentary had a incredible change of heart. It was honestly really great to see. He really started to defend the boys that were put on trial, saying he knows that they didn't do it. And it was just nice to see, since he was a big contributor of hate throughout the first 2.
Yeah, so. No, like, he really, I've never seen someone do such a 180, but I guess, like, a lot of time has passed, and I guess it goes to show that, you know, some people, once, you know, they're able to take a moment to, like, listen to everything there is to say, and once enough people treat it seriously enough and you can listen, like, there is a chance to
Yeah.
make that change, make that difference, and like change your tune.
Yeah, I think that's like a testament to why cancel culture shouldn't exist, because cancel culture is saying that people can't change and become better, and it's not good to believe that, because if you believe that people can't change, then you're no better than those people that you hate for saying terrible things. Like, you have to believe that people can become better, otherwise the world won't be a better place.
Yeah, I think the important part is finding the line of like what's acceptable and what's not, and what's something that like somebody can make that difference. And I feel like we have a better understanding of that now, like now that enough time has passed and like a few of these people have had that time to change and grow. Like, I don't know. It has a lot to do with like what is hurting people who are getting hurt. But this is not what we're here for. We're a Stuff and Things podcast.
Right, but you know, the stuff and things we talk about, the world of media is, I don't know, it's ever changing.
It is pretty things.
It's, you know, something I feel that should be addressed, just because, like, as people that are putting out media, we become viable to the cancel culture world, and it's like, we're here to have a discussion, not just, like, beat people down or whatever.
Yeah, I just feel that a lot of the time, I mean, I agree with you. I feel like it comes from a just place of wanting to do good, but at the same time, I feel because of like the added anonymity that stuff usually tends to have, because the internet is the internet, and everybody's on the internet right now because of the times. It seems to be like that anonymity makes it easy for people to feel a bit powerful. Like, I honestly, I just feel like
absolutely.
There is too much of a draw to just go off on whatever because you're not like in person and interacting with these people yourself. But
right,
at the same time, like, usually people are doing it because they feel like it's the right thing, and like I get wanting to be just and like say what should be said and make sure that people don't just get away with shit. Like, I get that. Like that's not.
Yeah.
It's but at the same time, like,
it comes from a good place. It's just like, I think we know how to handle things better by this point, and we know that canceling isn't the answer. Like, it is possible for people to apologize and to become changed people and to live their lives differently. And I like to continue to believe that, because otherwise, you know, you're not believing that people can change, and people can. You know, we've seen it. We've also seen people who refuse to change, but you know, that's a whole other story.
People are very unique.
Yeah, people are volatile. Once read in I believe it's kind of a funny story. They made it into a movie. The book is much better. The book is much better, but it says that people shouldn't be anchors in your life because people change all the time. You know, like, you can't make that a foundation, and that's true, because people are volatile. They're ever changing. In
a certain case where like you were not directly growing alongside a said person, like, people have in the walks of life, like, people go their own direction. Like, no matter what they do, like, they go and change and become what suits them at the time. But because of that, like, if you are not directly on top of that path with them, like, experiencing along the way, which is honestly a pretty rare situation, like, I feel like there are a few exceptions. I mean, especially with like significant others a lot of the time, like, you know, if it goes well, people can grow and change together in that way with a certain amount of closeness. But no, I mean, just, yeah.
Right, but it's like, you don't know.
We all become different people as time goes on, because I mean, the times change. They really do. And especially in like nowadays, like, the world in the 90s is like, now would be unfathomable to them. And then like the same with like 10 years ago, like, the kind of world we live in nowadays is nothing I would say like anybody expected. Certain aspects, I mean, there's plenty of stuff that's going on now that has repeated itself in the past that, like, I guess a lot of people expected to happen again. But at the same time, like,
it's just, you don't know what somebody's been through. You don't know where they've been. We've all done and said things in our lives that we're not proud of. So, you know, it's just good to have a little humility.
Do you have something you need to apologize for? I feel like you're ramping up to something.
No. I've just been watching. I'm somebody that watches a lot of YouTube drama content and keeps on top of this stuff, and seeing, like, you know, how many people have been canceled in the last year and, like, who have come under fire for things. And after doing so much of my own research and thinking about these things, talking with other people, it's like I find a lot of people are on the same page where cancel culture is not it, sis. It's negative, it's not productive, it's not helping the problem, it's making things worse. The only good thing is, like, yes, people need to be held accountable for sure, but I think that, you know, once somebody has acknowledged that they've made a mistake and they are acknowledging that they are trying to change, that it is not your place to cancel them just because, like, you know, karma. The energy you put out is going to come back to you, and if you're putting out that negative energy, you can't really expect to have more positive things back in your life. You know, don't fill your time with that, and that's why we're here to bring you positive content and, like, interesting things to take your mind off of, like, how
from the stuff
negative things can be right now. You know?
We talk about things to get away from the stuff
and the things. So what are we talking about?
I don't know. Did you feel like going first this time, or do you want me to jump into this? Because
I would love for you to jump into that. I feel like I was on my soapbox for a minute, you know.
Oh boy. You know, I'm so excited because this isn't something I've thought about for a really, really long time. But, like, I've heard a lot of people talk about this game recently. It's just weird because, like, I feel like no one really has anything to say. They're like, yeah, it kind of existed, I guess. But it's hard to know how to feel about Tak and the Power of Juju.
What?
It was an old GameCube / PS2 game. Oh, apparently it was also on the Game Boy Advance too. Wow. It was a platformer. You had, like, animals that you could change into. It was really hard from what I saw. But, like, the thing is, I didn't play the first one. I played what I think was the second one.
Well, I'm seeing the photos of Tak now, from Tak and the Power of Juju, and I'm like, I recognize this. But I don't recognize it as a video game. So...
You know, sure, we can talk about that first. They also made a TV show.
Okay.
And it was on Nickelodeon, and I watched it. I don't remember if I watched very much of it. I don't know. I was always the kid that would go out of my way to, like, watch the less aired, like, shows, though. I don't know, a lot of, like, the super, super overdone stuff, like, I got bored of, so I would try to stick around for that obscure shit that the Nickelodeon off channel would usually show off underneath its trench coat. But sometimes it was Tak, and he was eating a haggis with his bud, which I'm pretty sure I don't know if he was in the first game, but in the game that I played, the second one, which I'm still having trouble finding the name of right now. So
you would eat haggis?
Yeah, no, that was like...
stuffed sheep stomach haggis?
Well, I mean, there were a lot of sheep around in the games, so, like, I especially in the second one, so I think they just, like... Okay, yeah, it was called the Great Juju Challenge. I remember this! Yes, okay, I played this on my original Xbox, and his bud that you played with...
he got a big face.
He got a very big face. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was voiced by Patrick Warburg.
Who's?
Like, the dude who does Kronk. And then, like...
I was gonna say he looks like a Kronk-esque character, so I'm like, what?
Also, they were a bunch of teams of two that would race through these levels, and they were like normal platforming levels where you're just playing through, like, a game, but it's like a collect-a-thon-y game, but it's, like, very linear and has, like, a difficulty to it, and there's, like, some, like, platform puzzly stuff because of the fact that you have two characters and you have to, like, play off of both of them. How it would work was that you would basically, like, you were actually timed in each of the levels, and, like, doing things would get you time back, so you actually wanted to perform well because, like, all in all, you were actually racing against all of these different other teams of two that would show up and cut, and, like, there were a lot of fucking cutscenes in this game from what I remember. And I remember one of the other teams, one of the partners on the team was this female silverback gorilla that had a crush on the Kronk looking guy. And he was weird about it at first, but he ended up being kind of into it, if I remember. It's weird.
That's bestiality.
I don't quite remember.
This also makes me think of, like, since
photo.
This was a show, like, it's a game that they made a show based off of. It makes me think of, like, the Mario show, the Sonic TV show, just...
Honestly...
Like, I just don't think there's ever been a show that worked on that came out from a game franchise that really worked other than Pokemon.
Yeah, and I mean, that one has some trouble with, like, its filler and, like, the voice acting not being the best. From like a mainline standpoint... it actually reminds me a lot of, like, the Cusco's New Groove TV show that I got when he goes back to high school. Which that one was way better written than it was animated, just because of its shitty, terrible, sad budget.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched a video essay on it at some point. I've watched too many video essays about American animated cartoons. There's too many of them, okay?
Oh yeah, I love watching the video essays on, like, old Disney park rides and structures that failed. There was one about, I think it was a limousine like esque ride. You literally just, your little cart would ride through these Hollywood-esque sites, but, like, because the budget was so low, the celebrity animatronics were caricatures of the real people. Like, they weren't made to look like the real person. It was like a caricature of it, like, and it was really just so sad. Like, and I saw so much video footage of this ride before it closed, and it's like, they didn't even try. When you don't have the budget for certain things, I feel like you just need to stop and not continue with this project and make a half-hearted version of something that nobody enjoys. But I'm also a person that I really enjoy crappy animatronic rides. Every time I've been to the Disney parks, I'm sure to ride the original Peter Pan ride, because that one is super nostalgic for me. The Snow White, they recently did a roller coaster for that one, and that one's really great, and it has some great animatronics towards the end.
You know, see, here's my take on that. I think it has a lot to do with the medium. When it comes to, like, art, like true art, what you would call it, I feel that the budget that you have almost is a part of, like, the constraints that you have, like, as a part of that medium. Like, that is something that goes into the thought when you create said project, or, like, put your effort in or thought into like an art project.
No, it totally is.
But
there's a reason that Disney and Pixar have had an upper hand in animation as compared to DreamWorks. Like, we've seen DreamWorks go through a similar style to Tak and the Power of Juju, like with Shrek and all of that stuff. The animation quality has, like, it's really gotten a lot better over the years, but, like, you can tell that DreamWorks has had a smaller budget than Disney, because, I mean, Disney's the moguls, so of course they've always got the best budget to do the best stuff, and you know, it's a shame, but it's also, like, you can do little with little budget, like with Adventure Time and the Midnight Gospel by Pendleton Ward. Like, he has such a simple style, but it's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, like, what that leads down to is, I think what the important part is the fact that, like, something like an animatronic ride or something like that, where, like, building it is the ends to a mean to evoke. There's an argument that it's made to evoke something, but I feel like it has a thought being more towards entertainment than it is art.
Oh, like, absolutely. It's not a wax museum, it's an animatronic.
It's more about cutting, like, the lack of funds causes cutting of corners instead of a reinterpretation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But that being said, that, like, I really enjoy old animatronics, like the Carousel of Progress, which they recently got rid of, which that's so sad to me, because I loved that the theater would rotate to different stages with different animatronics on it, and it was mimicking real life and, like, the progress we've made with technology and stuff like that. The animatronics were very realistic looking, but it was very, like in Westworld, when they show the old animatronics from the park, the old ones mimic our original animatronics, and it's very like that, and I have this, like, love for them that, I don't know, it's like I'd love to own. I want to own a Zoltar machine. You know Zoltar from Big?
Yeah, it's the old, like...
Oh, the genie. I love it. I want a Zoltar machine to just sit in my home.
That's definitely like a basement item. It's
Basement? I think you mean entrance piece. Come into my home, Zoltar will give you a ticket, just to set you off right. Get all the guests feeling it.
But I feel like I would want to like create a space for it, Like I wouldn't want that to be like stuck in a room. I want the room to be about it.
Oh, so you mean like you're gonna have a whole Bohemian Moroccan style room for Zoltar?
Like Zoltar's Nook, exactly.
Oh yes, Zoltar's Nook. I'm loving it. We will be building Zoltar's Nook. Stay tuned for progress.
We'll let you know. On a completely unrelated note, we are going to need to take an ad break here so we can fundraise to buy an old Zoltar machine.
And make a Zoltar room.
Thank you.
Advertising space is available for you.
Advertising space.
If you don't want to hear us sing anymore, then, sponsor us.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Get us to talk about something that you want to pay us for.
Advertising space. All right, we are back, but with French toast. How's it going?
Actually, I have waffles. You have French toast.
We have different morning pastries that usually involve maple syrup.
Oh, absolutely. Always involve maple syrup for myself.
Depends for me. If I have some powdered sugar or some other I don't know. I guess I am kind of like a one sauce kind of guy for a lot of stuff like this. But you know how I am with sauce.
Well, my favorite sauce is mayonnaise, but that's a big topic for me.
Yeah, and that's something I don't really feel like talking about in this point in time because I still have food.
Well, I like to bring back the segment. Learn along with me.
No. So you're wanting to bring back my segment? Right, so is this your segment now?
Well, I figured it was our segment.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, that's fine. No, learning is important for everybody. So please, I'm ready. I want to learn something.
We are going to learn about ball culture.
Ball culture?
We are learning about ball culture. The house ballroom community.
Oh, that ball. There's a lot of balls.
Yes, this is like a super underground LGBT.
Aubrey, the reason I was confused is because there's a lot of different, there's a lot of meanings for the word ball, especially in the English language. I don't know if you, that's what I was confused about.
Right.
So balls, yeah, go on.
Right. It is young African American and Latin American underground LGBT subculture that originated in New York City, in which people walk, so compete, for trophies, prizes, and glory at events known as balls. Ball culture consists of events that mix performance, dance, lip syncing, and modeling. Events are divided into various categories, and participants walk and compete for prizes and trophies. As a countercultural phenomenon, ball culture is rooted in necessity and defiance. Beginning in the late 19th century, members of the underground LGBTQ+ community in large communities began to organize masquerade balls known as drags in defiance of laws which banned individuals from wearing clothes associated with the opposite gender.
Huh.
Participants are mainly young African American and Latin American members of the LGBTQ community, although some balls were integrated, and the judges were always white, and African American participants were often excluded from prizes or judged unfairly. But in the early 20th century, African Americans and Latinos started their own balls. Ball subculture then grew into a primarily gay, lesbian, and trans Black people and Latinos. The attendees will dance and vogue while they walk. They'll pose and support one another in the competition. The competition, the categories, they satirize and epitomize both gender and social class while offering an escape from reality. I was introduced to ball subculture by watching Drag Race, and then that led me to watch Pose, which Pose is a show on FX that has the largest cast of trans members, and it tells about the late 80s, the AIDS epidemic, and how that affected the ball culture.
Yeah.
Because obviously that killed a lot of people, and a lot of the people they knew, because a lot of the people participating in ball culture were people that didn't live with their families. Their families, you know, kicked them out because they were trans or gay.
Awful shit.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to watch, but the ball culture is extremely fascinating and extremely, like, competitive and at the same time, like, positive and affirming for these people.
That's great.
Yeah, and my favorite part of Pose is in the beginning, it's the pray tell, his voice calling out stuff for the ball, and he's like, now walk and pose, and like voguing, where Madonna got the idea for the song Vogue was from ball subculture. Like, I just got to the episode in the new season they put out, they finally put it out on Netflix. The episode takes place when Madonna had just released Vogue, and all of these ball culture members are like, oh my gosh, this is going to push us to the forefront. And so many of the other ones are like, no, this is them appropriating our culture. And in a way, it definitely was them, like, Madonna appropriating ball culture. But at the same time, she was putting it out there so that more people were aware of what voguing was. Because honestly, without ball culture, fashion would be literally nothing right now. It would be garbage.
Damn. That's a really, thank you for the history lesson. Wow. I mean, I kind of feel like you already had learned about that, but thank you. I feel like I learned along with everybody.
I had learned some, but I did a little more. I just knew that it was like a gay fashion thing. But then as I started watching Pose, it became quickly very clear to me that this was like their only form of community. This was the only place they could gather together and party. You know, they would obviously get arrested.
Yeah.
Because that was, I believe, before Stonewall. And in the most recent episode, they did a public demonstration in a Catholic church speaking out against AIDS. Because the Catholic Church was pushing for, like, oh, abstinence is the way to make sure AIDS doesn't happen. And that's not true. Condoms are the way to make sure, and practicing safe sex and talking about it.
Yeah,
and a lot of them ended up getting arrested in the show. People
have had so many very, very one-note interests and ideas about a lot of stuff for the longest time. I mean, we're still there. Like, I feel like there's been a lot of work that's been put into this country.
Yeah, and still needs a lot of work. I mean,
yeah.
It's just crazy to me now, looking back and realizing because of the schools I went to and stuff, I never had sex ed.
Yeah,
like, any kind of it. Like, it was just a abstinence or nothing.
Oh, yeah, we had this big group called the Ring, or the Silver Ring, or the Ring Thing, something like that.
Purity Ring Thing?
Yeah. That. Yeah, dude.
And you didn't even go to a private... I went to a private religious school, so it makes sense. I mean, not that I agree with it. It's just like, I understand that you're not going to go against what, you know, your funding tells you. But, like, with a public school... You should really be teaching kids about... I mean, I think you should teach kids about contraception in any way, because, like, that's how we avoid unwanted pregnancy and avoid having to, you know, care for a baby at a young age when you financially cannot.
Yeah, and I feel like that understanding and awareness helps people be able to make that decision themselves instead of not knowing what's going on and doing something because they did not know or would not have known because it wasn't, like, taught to them, like, not knowing about their options and knowing what the consequences are. Like, 'cause I feel like it goes hand in hand of, like, yeah, okay, cool, teaching someone what a condom is, like, I get it. I get where, like, certain people come from that or why they're not comfortable with it, but at the same time, it also comes with that fact of, like, hey, you need this because the opposite, that thing that, like, you may end up being pressured into growing up, because, I mean, we all go through puberty. We're all kids at some point in our lives. Like, that is a pressure for most people. I think it also, like, highlights what the danger is if you are not careful with that sort of stuff. You understand, like, it doesn't come from a place of morals, it comes from a place of knowledge. And I think that usually ends up creating the more rational decisions, I guess, is the way that I see it.
Yeah, no, I think it's better to teach your kids about it so they know how to be safe if they're going to make that decision. Like, might not want them to make that decision, and I completely understand that. Yeah. Like, as a parent, nobody wants to hear their kids are having sex at all, but you should rather your kid know how to have safe sex than just hope they don't do it, knowing damn well that the kids are going to do it. We've all been a kid. We've all been a teenager. Yeah. We've all been a teenager, and a lot of teenagers want to make those decisions when they're not ready, and it sucks, but, pregnancy's preventable at least. But I don't think that sex always is. Some people are just more sexually active earlier in their life.
Well, I mean, it has to really, I mean, it comes down to a person-to-person thing. Like, everybody takes hormones in a different way, I guess.
No, yeah, and everybody has puberty at a different time. Like, I mean, I was a late bloomer, so...
Same.
Can relate to, like, I didn't make those decisions, really, when I was in high school, but that was more just because, like, I didn't even know how to hold hands with another person, let alone decipher my feelings towards boys and girls. That was, we had to get over that bridge first.
I mean, I think what's important is being able to process through that yourself, because then you know who you are more as a person. You know how to deal with and treat yourself as a person, and how to be aware of yourself and how to treat others for who you are.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason everybody has a rough time in those formative years in their life, because, like, we're not fully formed.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like, according to the neurologists out there, I'm still a year off from my brain being fully developed, so, like, hey... That's wild, huh?
It gives me hope that my brain will continue to develop.
Oh,
man, now you sound like my dad.
It's okay.
Yikes. Oh, man.
Man, I miss playing pool.
Oh, me too. I recently played pool on a snooker table. My dad has a snooker table, which is...
Strangely named.
Yes, but it has narrower pockets, and it's for a more precise type game, but he has pool balls that are made for it, and wow, did that really knock my confidence down. Like, not only have I not played pool in a long time, but then to get back at it with a table that's, like, more precise, oh god.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I always felt that with a lot of, like, hand dexterity, sports stuff like that, I would start from a point of not knowing what I'm doing and, like, slowly work my way up over time, and, like, once I got comfortable with it, it would work. But with pool, I always felt like it was so sporadic. Like, some nights, like, it was like nothing to me. Like, I could be holding a conversation and not even thinking about what I'm doing and knock 3 in a row. But then some nights, I couldn't even hit a damn ball, and I couldn't even tell you why. I mean, obviously it didn't have anything to do with, like, alcohol when we would go to bars or something, because, like, I was always driving. But fuck, dude, sometimes I just can't hit a fucking pool ball. Speaking of ball culture.
Yeah. Ball culture is also where we get, like, a lot of our drag lingo, like, boots the house down, mama, yes, God.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that, work, tens across the board. That stuff, that derives from ball culture, and it's definitely something I recommend looking into. There's tons of documentaries about this stuff now, and it's important to acknowledge the struggle that these people had at this time, especially with, like, Pride Month having just happened.
Oh yeah, yeah. Today's the 1st, isn't it?
Yeah, today's July 1st, so Pride Month is technically over, but for me, Pride Month is never over.
You never have to stop celebrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for this episode, really.
I mean, hey, like, that's pretty concise. Like, I think that's, I mean, I learned something, so I feel like I feel I would call that a successful learn along with me.
Learn along with me.
No, like mine, though.
Yeah, okay,
learn
well,
along with me.
I'm pretty sure mine's better, but we can let the audience decide.
I can tell you, but, that's fine. No, I'll fairly edit it, I promise.
Just completely edits out all of my song.
No,
so I sound like a rambling fool.
I gotta distort it and make it sound like that you just did it right up into the mic, so no matter how good it sounded, it still would make them hate you.
Oh.
I wouldn't do that. I play fair.
I don't know, man. But yeah, we'll be back at you next week with a guest, I believe. We usually try to bring in a guest every other time, just
That's the idea.
Bring in some new energy to our conversation, because we like to mix it up.
It's ever-changing, and you know what? We're not the only people that have weird stories, and usually the other people have much more interesting ones, so...
Oh, yeah, I mean, we've only got so many stories to tell.
So we gotta let other people do it for us.
Yeah, so, I don't know, what did we talk about this time? We talked about cancel culture.
Yeah, we did. Oh, yes, weird bestiality with a gorilla.
Animatronics and 3D animation.
Man, we talk about animation a
And then
lot.
we had to learn along with me about ball culture, and this has been an interesting episode. There's just so much happening right now in the world, especially with media.
Well, and I feel like
It's been crazy.
it has been crazy. And I like to have a space that's separate from everything that's going on in the world, but at the same time, like,
I feel like we should do our civic duty as having a message, though, about how we feel about it, at least.
And I mean, also, like, for the future, like, having the context for the way that we feel in a time like this, like, retrospectively, I feel can be important as well.
It's just, we're here to put out positive energy, so we want to make sure other people, you know, feel that we do as such. And I think that supporting people during this time is important.
Because guess what?
And just supporting humanity as a whole.
Well, what's important is that not even we know what we're talking about.
I do have one shout out to another. I like to shout out other creators, other artists, media personnel, that kind of stuff, because it's a time when we all need content to take in. You know, we've got a lot of time on our hands. And I recently come across a YouTube channel called Characters Welcome. Full name is Characters Welcome UCB. I'm not sure exactly what college I believe it's UCB, not sure what it stands for, should have probably done more research, but it's a bunch of college theater kids that have written stuff and are performing things that are interesting and new, and a lot of them are super funny. They've got really something for everybody, and it's just, they're good monologues, they're really talented actors, and if you need a laugh, it's a great place to go.
Yeah, no, I have always enjoyed any of the skits that you showed me. Like, I those are some really impressive monologues. I agree.
And some of them aren't even long. Like, the first one I believe I showed Mason was the one where it's like your freshman year college roommate is in love with Japanese culture. That one is like a minute long, tops. And the guy says maybe 7 sentences maximum. But his demeanor is just...
I mean, it's all about the delivery.
It's all about your physicality and the delivery of things, and they really do.
And you know what? Speaking about performances, I also had a shout out. I know that they are not like small time in any way, shape, or form, especially compared to us. But yeah, Monday's episode of Bim Bam, the McElroys, they had Lin-Manuel Miranda on, and they were talking to him about
oh my gosh.
About like plays and stuff. I mean, until Griffin made them stop. And then
I am very uncomfortable with the energy we've created in the studio today.
Why do I feel that? They also had him actually do a Yahoo with them, and it was a great time. It was about the narrative of what you do if Mario was running at you and trying to kill you.
The McElroys are always a great time.
Like sprinting at you.
Oh no.
It was a good time. And I'm all you know, here's hoping that this was a good time too. I mean, I felt that it was. So was it good for you too?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.